Cemeteries are repositories for the dead. Yet, the spirits inside often have difficulty staying at rest. The most spooky cemeteries in America are scattered across the country. Many cemeteries, stowed away from the public eye, convey the most strange and creepy supernatural action. Go along with us as we take you on a spooky walk through some of America's most haunted cemeteries. Now we will visit the most haunted cemeteries in America. Number 1. Concordia Cemetery. Concordia Cemetery in El Paso, Texas, is one of the most haunted burial grounds in America. Established in 1856, it holds over 60,000 graves, including those of gunslingers, war veterans, and victims of violent deaths. With so much history buried beneath its soil, it's no surprise that this cemetery is filled with chilling ghost stories and unexplained paranormal encounters. One of the most famous spirits said to haunt Concordia Cemetery is that of John Wesley Hardin, one of the most notorious outlaws of the Old West. Hardin was known for his violent past, having killed more than 40 people before meeting his own tragic end. Visitors often claim to see his ghostly figure near his grave, sometimes appearing as a shadowy presence or a misty figure. Some have even heard whispers, as if Hardin is still lingering in the afterlife. Another eerie legend involves the Lady in White, a ghostly woman seen wandering through the cemetery at night. Some believe she was a grieving mother who lost her children, while others think she was a victim of a tragic death. Witnesses report seeing her glowing figure floating near certain graves before disappearing into thin air. One of the most disturbing areas of the cemetery is the section known as the Children's Graveyard. This part of Concordia Cemetery is filled with the graves of young children who died from disease, accidents, or unknown causes. Many visitors have reported hearing the sound of children laughing or crying, even when no one else is around. Some have even seen small figures running between the tombstones, only for them to vanish moments later. Paranormal investigators have captured eerie voices on their recording devices, with some claiming to hear ghostly whispers saying names or warning visitors to leave. Others have reported sudden cold spots, the feeling of being watched, and even unexplained physical sensations, such as being lightly touched or pushed. Adding to its dark history, the cemetery was once a site for illegal activities, including occult rituals. Strange symbols have been found on some tombstones, and people have reported unsettling feelings when visiting certain areas of the graveyard. With its violent past, ghostly legends, and endless paranormal sightings, Concordia Cemetery is a truly chilling place. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, stepping into this haunted graveyard is an experience you won't forget. If you ever visit, be prepared. You might just encounter a spirit from the past. Number 2. McPella Cemetery. McPella Cemetery in Queens, New York, is best known as the final resting place of the famous magician Harry Houdini, but many believe it is also one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. With its eerie atmosphere, chilling ghost stories, and unexplained paranormal activities, this cemetery has captured the curiosity of ghost hunters and thrill seekers for decades. One of the most talked about hauntings is the spirit of Houdini himself. Despite being a skeptic of the afterlife, people claim to have seen a shadowy figure near his grand monument, especially on Halloween night, the anniversary of his death. Some visitors report hearing whispers near his grave, while others have witnessed strange flickering lights that cannot be explained. Many paranormal investigators have visited the cemetery, recording mysterious voices and cold spots. Some even claim to have captured ghostly images in photographs. One of the creepiest stories involves visitors feeling an unseen force tugging at their clothing or pushing them slightly, as if trying to communicate. The cemetery's quiet and isolated atmosphere adds to its ghostly reputation. At night, strange mist-like shapes are sometimes seen hovering over certain graves, and footsteps echo when no one else is around. Some locals say that a dark presence lurks near older tombstones, watching silently from the shadows. Another legend tells of a woman in white who appears near the entrance. Some believe she is the spirit of a grieving widow searching for her lost love, while others think she may be connected to Houdini's seances. His wife, Bess, held annual seances for 10 years after his death, trying to contact his spirit. Could it be that Houdini or another restless soul still lingers in Machpelah Cemetery? Whether you believe in ghosts or not, Machpelah Cemetery remains one of the most mysterious and spine-chilling places in America. The combination of history, legend, and unexplainable events makes it a fascinating location for those seeking an eerie adventure. If you ever visit, be prepared. You might just experience something you can't explain. Number 3. Greenwood Cemetery. Greenwood Cemetery, located in Brooklyn, New York, is one of the oldest and most historic cemeteries in America. While it is known for its beautiful landscape and famous burials, it is also surrounded by chilling ghost stories and paranormal encounters. Many visitors and paranormal investigators believe that Greenwood Cemetery is one of the most haunted places in the country, with eerie sights, ghostly whispers, and unexplained shadows lurking among the graves. One of the most famous ghost stories linked to Greenwood Cemetery is about the mysterious Lady in White. Many have reported seeing a woman in a flowing white dress wandering through the cemetery, especially near the historic chapel. Some believe she is the spirit of a grieving widow who lost her husband in the 1800s, forever searching for him in the afterlife. Others claim she is the ghost of a young bride who passed away before her wedding day. Witnesses say she appears suddenly and then vanishes into thin air. Another terrifying tale involves the ghost of a Civil War soldier. Several visitors have reported seeing a shadowy figure in a military uniform standing near certain graves before disappearing. Some even claim to hear the distant sound of marching footsteps or the faint echoes of a drum, as if a spirit from the past is still guarding the cemetery. Greenwood Cemetery is also known for its eerie statues that seem to have a life of their own. One of the most chilling stories is about an angel statue that some say moves its head or changes its expression. Others have reported hearing whispers when standing near old mausoleums, only to find no one else around. The cemetery's winding paths and towering trees create an unsettling atmosphere, especially at night. Visitors have experienced sudden drops in temperature, ghostly touches on their shoulders, and even the feeling of being watched. Paranormal investigators have captured strange voices in recordings and unexplained orbs of light in photographs. With its long history and countless graves, Greenwood Cemetery remains a place full of mystery and ghostly encounters. Whether you are a believer in the paranormal or just love a good ghost story, Greenwood Cemetery is a hauntingly fascinating place where the past never seems to rest. Number 4. Assumption Cemetery. Assumption Cemetery, located in New York, is one of the most mysterious and haunted cemeteries in the country. With its eerie atmosphere, unsettling silence, and chilling ghost stories, it has become a place of fascination for paranormal investigators and thrill seekers alike. Many believe that spirits roam this graveyard, unwilling to leave the earthly realm. One of the most terrifying stories associated with Assumption Cemetery involves ghostly apparitions that appear late at night. Visitors have reported seeing shadowy figures standing near tombstones, only to vanish moments later. Some say these are the souls of those buried here, restless and searching for something or someone they lost. Another eerie legend speaks of a woman in black who has been spotted walking through the cemetery's narrow pathways. Some believe she is the spirit of a grieving mother, mourning the loss of her child. Those who have encountered her say she moves slowly, her face hidden by a dark veil. But when approached, she disappears without a trace. Strange lights and glowing orbs have also been seen floating among the graves. Paranormal investigators have recorded these orbs on camera, and while some believe they are just tricks of light, others are convinced they are spirits trying to make their presence known. The air in the cemetery often feels heavy, and many visitors have experienced sudden chills or the feeling of being watched. Another chilling story involves whispers that seem to come from nowhere. Several people have reported hearing their names being called, only to turn around and find no one there. Others claim to have heard faint crying or laughter, as if spirits are trapped between worlds. Even more disturbing, Some visitors have felt an unseen force tugging at their clothes or touching their shoulders. A few have even said they were pushed slightly, as if an invisible presence was trying to get their attention. With so many unexplained occurrences, Assumption Cemetery remains one of the most haunted locations in America. Whether you are a believer in ghosts or a skeptic, this graveyard has an undeniable eerie presence that makes it a chilling place to visit. If you ever find yourself walking through its grounds, be prepared. You may experience something you can't explain. Number 5. Miami City Cemetery. Miami City Cemetery, the oldest graveyard in Miami, Florida, is not just a resting place for the dead. It is a hotspot for paranormal activity and chilling ghost stories. Established in 1897, this cemetery holds more than a century of history, filled with tragic deaths, mysterious burials, and eerie legends. Many believe it is the most haunted cemetery in America, with spirits still lingering among the tombstones. One of the most famous ghost stories is about Julia Tuttle, known as the Mother of Miami. While she played a key role in developing the city, her final resting place is said to be haunted. Visitors report seeing a shadowy figure near her grave, while others claim to feel a strange presence watching them. Some say they have heard whispers in the wind, as if she is still overseeing the city she helped build. Another eerie tale involves the grave of Dr. James Jackson, Miami's first physician. His mausoleum is one of the most visited sites in the cemetery, and people have reported seeing an apparition of a man in old-fashioned clothing wandering nearby. Some believe it is Dr. Jackson himself, still caring for the souls that rest in the cemetery. Others have experienced sudden temperature drops and unexplained sounds around his tomb. Perhaps the most chilling legend is the story of the unmarked graves. Miami City Cemetery was once a segregated burial ground, with African Americans, Native Americans, and Bahamian immigrants buried in separate areas. Many graves are unmarked, and locals believe their spirits are restless. Reports of ghostly figures walking between the graves, eerie cries at night, and strange glowing lights have terrified those who dare to visit after dark. A particularly unsettling area of the cemetery is the section where murder victims and criminals were laid to rest. Paranormal investigators have captured ghostly voices on recordings, and some visitors claim they have seen shadowy figures darting between the trees. Others have reported hearing footsteps following them, only to turn around and find no one there. With its long history and countless ghostly encounters, Miami City Cemetery remains one of the most haunted locations in America. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, one thing is certain: this cemetery holds secrets that may never be fully explained. If you visit, be prepared for an eerie experience, because the spirits of Miami City Cemetery may be watching you. Number 6. Georgiana Cemetery. Georgiana Cemetery, located on Merritt Island, Florida, is one of the most mysterious and haunted burial grounds in America. Established in the 19th century, this small yet eerie cemetery is the final resting place of early settlers, Civil War veterans, and individuals with tragic pasts. Over the years, visitors and paranormal investigators have reported terrifying ghost sightings, unexplained noises, and an overwhelming feeling of being watched. One of the most well-known hauntings is the apparition of a young girl who is often seen wandering among the tombstones. Some believe she was buried there after a tragic accident, while others claim she died from illness. Witnesses describe seeing a glowing figure in a white dress, sometimes standing near certain graves before vanishing into thin air. Some have even reported hearing soft giggles or cries, as if the spirit is trying to communicate with visitors. Another chilling story involves shadowy figures that lurk around the cemetery at night. Many who visit after sunset claim to see dark shapes moving between the graves, only to disappear when approached. Some believe these spirits belong to restless souls who were not given a proper burial, forever trapped in the cemetery. One of the most unsettling encounters reported by multiple visitors is the sound of footsteps following them, even when they are alone. Some have turned around, expecting to see another person, only to find empty space. Others have felt sudden drops in temperature or an unexplained pressure on their shoulders, as if an invisible force is watching them closely. Paranormal investigators have recorded eerie voices at Georgiana Cemetery, with some capturing whispers and even full sentences in electronic voice phenomena of sessions. The voices often seem to call out names or issue warnings, adding to the mystery of the haunted graveyard. There are also reports of strange lights floating above the tombstones, sometimes appearing as glowing orbs that move in unpredictable patterns. While skeptics argue these could be natural phenomena, many believe they are spiritual manifestations. With its deep history, tragic past, and countless ghostly encounters, Georgiana Cemetery stands as one of the most haunted places in America. Whether you're a skeptic or a believer, those who visit this graveyard often leave with an eerie feeling that they were not alone. If you dare to explore its grounds, be prepared. You might just experience something you can't explain. Number 7. Gettysburg National Cemetery. Gettysburg National Cemetery in Pennsylvania is not just a historic landmark. It is one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. Established after the bloody Battle of Gettysburg in 1863, this sacred ground holds thousands of fallen soldiers. The intense violence and suffering that took place on these fields have left behind eerie echoes of the past, making it a hotspot for paranormal activity. One of the most well-known hauntings is the spirit of a lone soldier who is often seen standing near the rows of graves. Dressed in a tattered Civil War uniform, he appears lost, as if still searching for his regiment. Some visitors have reported seeing him salute before vanishing into thin air. Others have captured shadowy figures in photographs standing among the tombstones when no one else was around. Another terrifying encounter is the sound of ghostly gunfire and battle cries. Many visitors walking through the cemetery at night have reported hearing distant cannon blasts, rifle shots, and the desperate shouts of men in pain. These sounds are said to be residual energy from the brutal 3-day battle that claimed thousands of lives. One of the eeriest spots in the cemetery is near the Soldiers' National Monument. People have reported feeling sudden cold spots, even on warm summer nights. Some say they have heard whispers in the wind, as if soldiers' voices are still lingering. Paranormal investigators have captured unexplained voices in recordings, with some whispering names or giving commands as if the battle is still ongoing. There is also a chilling tale of a headless apparition seen roaming the cemetery grounds. Some believe he was a soldier who was decapitated by cannon fire, forever doomed to wander in search of his lost head. Witnesses claim to have seen a figure moving silently in the fog before disappearing completely. Visitors also report an overwhelming sense of sadness and unease while walking through the cemetery, as if the spirits of fallen soldiers are still present. Some have even felt an unseen force gently touching their shoulders or tugging at their clothing. With its violent past, countless ghostly sightings, and chilling supernatural encounters, Gettysburg National Cemetery remains one of the most haunted places in America. Whether you are a believer in the paranormal or not, those who visit often leave with an eerie feeling that something or someone is still watching from beyond the grave. Number 8. Westminster Presbyterian Church Cemetery. Westminster Presbyterian Church Cemetery in Baltimore, Maryland, is one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. Established in the 18th century, this historic burial ground is famous not only for being the final resting place of legendary writer Edgar Allan Poe, but also for its chilling ghost stories and paranormal activity. Over the years, visitors and ghost hunters have reported eerie encounters, unexplained noises, and shadowy figures that seem to lurk among the tombstones. One of the most famous spirits believed to haunt Westminster Cemetery is Edgar Allan Poe himself. Since his mysterious death in 1849, people claim to have seen a dark figure standing near his grave, often disappearing when approached. Some have reported hearing whispers reciting lines from his poetry, while others have seen strange lights flickering around his tomb. On the anniversary of his death, visitors often experience an overwhelming sense of sadness and despair, as if his restless spirit still lingers. Another terrifying legend is that of the Screaming Skull. According to local stories, a man was buried in the cemetery against his wishes, and his skull was said to emit an eerie, unearthly scream whenever his grave was disturbed. Over the years, grave robbers and vandals have reported hearing chilling cries in the night, leaving many to believe that his spirit is still restless. The catacombs beneath the church are also a source of ghostly encounters. Westminster Church was built over the original burial ground, and underground tombs now lie beneath the structure. Many have reported hearing footsteps echoing through the catacombs when no one else is there. Others have seen shadowy apparitions moving through the tunnels, or felt sudden drops in temperature as if an unseen presence was nearby. One of the most disturbing ghostly encounters involves the spirit of a woman dressed in black. Witnesses have seen her weeping near graves before vanishing into thin air. Some believe she is the ghost of a grieving widow, forever mourning the loss of her husband. Others claim she is an omen of death, appearing to those who are about to experience tragedy. With its long history, famous burials, and countless ghostly encounters, Westminster Presbyterian Church Cemetery remains one of the most haunted places in America. Whether you believe in the supernatural or not, visitors often leave with an eerie feeling that something unseen is watching them. If you ever visit, be prepared. You might not be alone. Number 9. Jacksonville Rural Cemetery. Jacksonville Rural Cemetery, located in Jacksonville, Oregon, is one of the most haunted cemeteries in America. Established in the mid-1800s, this historic burial ground is home to the graves of pioneers, Civil War veterans, and unfortunate souls who met tragic ends. Over the years, visitors and paranormal investigators have reported eerie encounters, shadowy figures, and unexplained voices that make this cemetery a chilling place to visit. One of the most well-known spirits haunting Jacksonville Rural Cemetery is that of a woman in a long, flowing dress. Many believe she was a grieving widow or a mother who lost her children. Witnesses claim to have seen her ghostly figure wandering among the tombstones at night. Some say she appears as a misty form, while others have reported seeing her solid figure standing silently before vanishing into thin air. Another terrifying tale involves ghostly voices that seem to come from nowhere. Many visitors have heard whispers, soft crying, or even their own names being called when no one else is around. Paranormal investigators have captured eerie recordings of disembodied voices, some sounding like warnings or pleas for help. One of the most disturbing areas of the cemetery is a section where unmarked graves are believed to hold the remains of early settlers and outlaws. People who have walked near this area report feeling an overwhelming sense of sadness or even dizziness, as if the spirits are trying to make their presence known. Others have experienced sudden drops in temperature or the sensation of being watched. Some visitors have also claimed to see shadowy figures darting between the graves. These dark apparitions appear for a brief moment before disappearing into the night. Many believe these spirits belong to those who suffered violent deaths and are unable to find peace. One of the creepiest reports involves unexplained touches and tugs. Several people have felt unseen hands brushing against their shoulders, pulling on their clothing, or even pushing them slightly. Some believe these spirits are trying to get attention, while others think they are warning visitors to leave. With its long history, tragic past, and countless paranormal sightings, Jacksonville Rural Cemetery remains one of the most haunted places in America. Whether you are a believer or a skeptic, one thing is certain: those who visit often leave with an eerie feeling that something unseen is still lingering among the graves. If you ever explore this historic cemetery, be prepared for a ghostly encounter